Well, hey there, it's Elka.
And Jen, and welcome to another episode of the Creative and Ambitious Entrepreneur Podcast. And today we have a very special guest, one of our own clients. Her name is Wendy, and she has been with us for a couple years now, and she's going to be talking to us about her success stories and her journey throughout Zazzle and being with us within our courses and within our community.
Yeah, basically starting over and creating a 7-figure online Zazzle business. That's pretty impressive, by the way. And so we want to hear more about your story and the evolution of how you got to the Zazzle platform. And then we're going to ask you to give us, like our listeners, maybe a tip based on your journey. But the main thing is we want our listeners to hear your journey and the success that you've had and the things that you've overcome, which is so important and so valuable because you're running a business, right? And you're no stranger to businesses.
Yeah, so a little bit about me. I am married. I have 2 grown daughters, and I actually started my own in-home direct sales business when my youngest went to kindergarten. So for 20 years, I worked for myself, but the parent company closed down. So overnight, I lost what I thought was going to be my forever job.
That's tough.
I took several years trying to figure out what do I do next. At 50-some years old, where do you start over? And I just happened to have downtime. So I was helping an artist friend try to sell their art. And someone had told them about Zazzle, and they're not, computer literate. They're an artist, and I'm not considered computer literate either, as the 2 ladies know. But I thought, I'll sit down and try to figure it out so I can help my friend because I have the time. And I started playing around, learning how to design on Zazzle, and I enjoyed it. My friend did not, and never stuck with it. But within a few months, oh my gosh, an address label sold. And then the next day, or a couple days later, a few other things sold within, starting a couple months. And after a week, I had like $11 in sales, and I thought, boy, maybe there's something to this. And I knew nothing about graphic design, nothing about e-commerce, never even heard the word. So what I had learned from my home business, the direct sale business, was that you don't need to figure it out on your own. If you can be mentored, if you can follow a successful path, why start over? Why reinvent the wheel? So I thought, well, maybe there could be something to this. If nothing else, I'll just have fun while I'm looking. And so I was Google searching some mentoring, some guidance on Zazzle, watching some YouTube videos or whatever, and I came across Elka's very first mentoring program promo video. And to be honest, I had just recently gotten scammed over something else. With that, but it happened, and so I was very wary. Here's an unknown program by someone I didn't know in a company I hadn't heard of 2-3 weeks before. So it took me a long time to jump off the fence and say, if I'm going to see if there's something to this, I got to be mentored by the best. And at that time, and I think probably still, you guys are the best. So I jumped in, both feet, and I've been with these ladies for, 5 years now. When did you start?
2017, yeah.
5 years ago. So just about every program that you guys have offered, I have participated in because I've had a lot to learn. You struggled along with me when I got overwhelmed or was just completely lost in the computer literate world, and then the whole math thing behind the scenes and data analysis. But it is all part of the program, and just sometimes at my own pace. A lot of setbacks over the last 5 years with surgeries and family crisis and stuff. That's just it. I over time built it to where it is today, and I know that wouldn't have happened. None of it would have happened on my own. I know that, hands down. So the community that they've built, the programs that they offer, their responses to what you're dealing with, are very sincere. It's made all of the difference in the world for my business, and I know for several other businesses. And Zazzle is now my new forever job. And who knew?
Yeah.
Like sometimes you just have to put faith in something, and move forward.
Thank you so much for sharing
Yeah.
your journey and how you got to the Zazzle platform. Go ahead.
Well, I was just going to say, I know that there are many people out there who are listening to this podcast that will resonate with Wendy's story, especially because of what has happened in recent years with COVID, where people all of a sudden their job has been taken away from them or their hours have been cut and their income has suffered. And it's completely different from Elka's perspective and her journey, because she decided to quit her job and then look for something to do in terms of making money online. But you weren't given that option to actually decide. Your option for making money was taken away from you, and you just so happened to fall into Zazzle through circumstances. And so to hear that journey as well, and have you, like both of you, then create these online businesses through that experience is really interesting, because you weren't specifically looking for this platform to make the money online, and that you were dedicated to then actually learn and decide, hey, I need to have a mentor and I need to learn the best, from the best to become the better version of myself within this business is really admirable as well. And hopefully that will resonate with a lot of people listening to this podcast, because we can only do so much on our own. And having your experience from the business background that you created, you know already that you need that help sometimes, because you can't always do it on your own.
Yeah. Well, and also I want to get a little bit into the fact that you did have a lot of business experience, but Wendy is a great example of someone who had other challenges in terms of learning certain pieces of the Zazzle business. A lot of people come into print on demand, which is what Zazzle is. It's a company that prints things once the demand is there, i.e. the customer buys the product. And so we're also getting a lot of people who are, they're very computer savvy, and they're just flipping through stuff, and they got 10 windows open and 5 screens, and they're figuring out apps to upload to every single platform on the planet. They're one design. Then when they get to Zazzle, they go I don't get this. And so the Zazzle platform is this unique and different print-on-demand company that just requires a different way of approaching things. And so everyone who's not as computer savvy, or even myself, had a really good chance. And the company and the platform and the way it serves its customers allows for us as individual artists and creatives, and even if you're not a creative, to learn how to serve a customer, right? And you're really good at that. And so you knew what to make. You just had some challenges with the tech. That's it. And once we got you over that, you were well, that's it. I'm just off to the races, and it's awesome. And then the other part that you mentioned was the math. And that's so typical for anyone who would more normally have a creative background, or a background where they never had to be take ownership of the math to understand what to do next, right? It's not the math of checking your money. It's the math of how do these numbers mean something so that I can make a business decision. And I think Wendy has come a huge way in that regard, and we make it easy for people, right? And that's the really important part is, don't let the things that are your weakest links let you get down. Let that just be the place where you realize, okay, that's all you need to fix, and that's all you need to learn from, and that's all you need the help with. And I think that's super, super important for anyone who's out there and goes well, I'd love to be on this platform, but I'm not creative. Or I'd love to be on this platform, but I don't know how to run my own online business. Or I'd love to be on this platform, but I'm not tech savvy like all these other gurus that got people to create the graphics and then they just plaster them everywhere on every single print-on-demand company. And so here on the Zazzle platform, you can just go crazy with your ability to earn. And again, Wendy is a 7-figure seller on Zazzle. She's actually sold over $1.7 million of her own product so far, and counting. And I want you to help us understand how important that is with you. Maybe go through your earnings journey from a little bit further back, and then the cool things that's happening to you just recently that you just told us before we started our podcast recording.
Okay, so a little bit on my history, and I always teased Elka. I was her turtle. I was always I had to drive to get there. I'm I will get there. Hang with me. I'm not giving up over a lot of stumbling blocks. But in turtle pace, my first year, I think I made like $300 that first when I just learned about Zazzle. So in 2017, when I started with Elka, I had looked up, so I did 400 in 2017, and then that jumped to 3,700 in 2018, which turned into 11,700 in 2019, which turned into 32,300 in 2020. And then in 2021, that doubled to 64,000. I'm sorry, not 30, 32,000, 64,000. And then as of this year so far, my first quarter ended with 20,000. And which was immediately followed up with the first week in May, which was my all-time high week, with 4,000 in 1 week. And followed up by my goal of reaching reaching $1,000 a day, which happened yesterday, just shy by $50. So hope to hit that goal in 2022. I think it's possible.
Definitely.
And that's really kind of the bottom line. I mean, is to give yourself that dream of it's possible. If it's possible for me, who has no background in graphic design, never even taken a class outside of the design element in Elka and Jen's program, but you don't necessarily need to have all of that. I felt like I can't compete. I don't have what everybody else has. I can't even understand my computer or anything internet based. But I knew if it was possible for someone else to do it, then it should be possible for me. And I'm going to give it everything I've got to try it. And everything I've got included being mentored, being shown how to do it, and maybe how to do it. If that makes sense. How do you do what you don't know how to do?
Yeah.
So yeah, and just the whole process, the whole journey, it's amazing how much I've grown in different ways. A lot of it's not just business related. It's the whole package of understanding that I built something, I created something. This was just for me. I didn't need a parent company. I mean, Zazzle is the parent company, don't get me wrong, but it's like I was able to build it from the ground up, and I can call it mine. And I was able to accomplish something that I set out to do, and turn that turtle hopefully someday into the rabbit. And that's a little bit more of almost more important than money. It's just getting that self-confidence, knowing I'm going to be okay. They remember me being like, I've lost my retirement, package, or, like what I thought I was going to be able to get through the rest of my years with. And Zazzle's not promising tomorrow, but I figured, I did it once, now I've done it twice, and I'll be okay.
Yes.
I love
I'll always
that.
be able to do something.
I love that. And Wendy talked about all of her earnings, and she sets her royalty at around 10% for a lot of her products. So that it makes it easy math, because the earnings that I said initially, the 1.7 million in sales, that means that she's made over $170,000 to date on her stores in Zazzle, which is really, really cool.
Yeah. And Wendy, you also talked about personal growth too, and I thought that was really amazing, because even hearing what you just said now in terms of your own courage, and that I own my own business, I'm very proud of myself. I remember when you first started out, and I don't think that those words came out of your mouth, and you were also very nervous too, as you mentioned, where you felt like you didn't belong because you didn't have a sense of style or design, or that you weren't creating anything creative, quote unquote, and you felt like you weren't coming into your own, and that your business never really was truly anything that was acceptable, let's say, in the Zazzle marketplace. And to be honest, you are one of our top students and has made a lot of money on the Zazzle platform. And having that sense of now that you've transitioned, let's say, to actually say, hey, this is my own. I loved that you said that you're like, I've created something for my own, and that you can say that out loud and feel confident, and then also show the success clearly with your earnings as well. But just having that transition, and now you feel it's okay if you're not a designer on Zazzle. It's okay if you don't have a style. It's that you're creating this sense of wealth for yourself, and whether that be through creativity or through business ownership, which you're doing now, and you're tending to the clientele, right? And you're making sure that you're making the right action steps and getting that mentoring from ourselves. And I'm just really proud of you that you were able to now feel good in your own like business skin, let's say, and just say, this is mine. Yeah.
I also love, if anyone noticed the numbers, they just kept going up and up and up, and they weren't even like doubling. It was double, then triple, then quadruple, then like, and so that is actually how we run our Zazzle business as well, and how we teach it is it's a slow and steady race, and we're not here to make $1 gazillion in 1 month. It's more so as you get bigger and bigger in terms of building the basis and the core of your Zazzle business, you know what to do. You can easily add extra products that you know are going to work rather than just trying to throw spaghetti against the wall. And so that's what Wendy's built. And so the fact that she's now getting to these really cool milestones like $1,000 in 1 day and $4,000 in a week, and I don't think, did you say 12,000 in a month?
In a quarter. Yeah.
In a quarter?
No, 12,000 last month.
Last month.
Last month.
Yeah.
And I like I said, I'm not the kind that can brag, but
Yeah.
I hear those numbers and it takes me back to my early years.
Yeah.
And the people that, braved the path before me, you guys and the Brandons and the Christines and, other people I've met through the program and know of. I mean, we're real people. We're just everyday real people. They're not, like famous celebrities that were handed a silver platter with, something on it. We all had to do the work to get to those numbers. And I still look at those data analyses and I'm like, that can't be real. That can't be real. I didn't do that, but I did with you guys' help.
It's fabulous.
Yeah.
And for me, we can never make any income claim statements, but it's happened over and over and over again that when people like Wendy, like yourself, set up these businesses on the Zazzle platform, then they start to explode, right, in terms of opportunity. And like you said, is that real that I just made $12,000 last month? And it is. And like Brendan and Christine are now all averaging, you're now in their league because they're averaging like $12,000 to $20,000 a month, which is wonderful. It means that you're basically making even like $150,000 to $200,000 a year on a platform where some people are struggling and expecting to make only a couple of dollars. And it's not because the platform doesn't work. It's not because the only certain people on the platform make money. It's because when you do the right things and run it as a business, then all of a sudden even though it takes a while, whether it's because you're having a learning curve, like a longer learning curve, or if it's just because you're just starting out on the platform and you're establishing yourself, that's what's most important, is to remember, start out slow, set it up properly, do the work. And it's still never more than like 20 hours a week, or 20 hours a month. But we have a bone to pick with Wendy. She always wants to work more. But ultimately, that is the idea, is to work 20 hours or less a month while getting this business to continue to grow exponentially. And that's like the golden dream business model. And and then if you want to, you can apply that to any of the print-on-demand companies because you're learning the business. You're not learning just Zazzle, and you're not just on one platform. So, and that's something that I love, and also the fact that we can then almost depend on that income increasing because we've done the work. And Jen always likes talking about this: work once, make lots of money over and over again. And that's what we're building here in this training, and then the 5 strategies, and that's what Wendy's building. And that's why now all of a sudden the earnings are so much higher, even though she's working at the same pace, and and maybe even less than she did before, right? Because we're encouraging her to work a little less and enjoy life more.
I do choose to put in a lot of hours, but on the flip side, I'm kind of a Zazzle addict, where I enjoy it, so it's kind of my fun time too. And in my stage of life, I have the ability to do that, but also when things happen, like shoulder surgery with 8, 9, 12 months of rehabilitation. And when my mom got sick, I could just walk away and be with her until she passed. It's like that's priceless. I wouldn't been able to do that with a 9-to-5 job.
No.
I mean, with my old business, sure too. But I was feeling like I'm going to end up back, at a 9-to-5, punch the time clock kind of thing after I lost my 20-year business. So, that's the part that's the invisible benefits that make it all worth it. And on the days I choose to work the 10 hours, that's because I choose to. I don't feel like I have to anymore.
Yeah.
I did in the beginning because I was a workaholic and I'm like, I'm going to make this happen. And the drive was there to push me. But now I can choose to not put in hours every day if I don't want to.
That's
or
valuable.
I can't because of life, life happening.
Yeah. No, it's very
Yeah.
true. Wendy's been with us for the past, a couple of years, but during that, as you mentioned, you had problems with your shoulder and you had shoulder surgery and then you had, family issues and life happens. And so it's really, it's really
Pretty
great.
much whatever 2021 was your best earnings year, and it was the year you worked the least on Zazzle because you had it all set up.
Well, at the beginning, her best earnings year where she increased exponentially. Yeah. And that was where it was a turning point for you. Yeah. So, and it's wonderful to hear now that you're able to work less. That's what we teach our clients or try to, right? People are, and as you as well, you came from a business background and possibly, I don't know about your business, you can let me know, but the hours worked that you put in was the amount of money more or less that you would get out. And here, your hours worked means that you have so much more possibilities in terms of your income. It doesn't actually equate to the equal, hourly wage type of thing, right?
Right.
So we have one question for you here. Because of like your journey and all the things you've experienced, what would you give as a tip to someone who's kind of like you in your situation where maybe like, a little bit of something where you're worried about maybe I can't do it or I can't be part of this or whatever. And then now that you've gone through this and you're in this now really great spot where you're like, I'm having a really good time and fun on Zazzle while I make money. What's a tip that you can give our listeners?
I was big on feeling guilty if I didn't, put in 12, 14-hour days when I was trying to build it at the beginning, even though you guys kind of kept trying to say, quit doing that. But that's my workaholic side, and not everyone has a workaholic problem like I do. But the one thing I learned years and years ago, the business I had before, is really just do something, anything, no matter what it is, that's business related to drive your business forward. That can simply be go look at Zazzle's front page today. What's happening? Design a product today. Read an article, listen to a podcast, something that keeps your business in front of you every day at the forefront. If that's something that you want to succeed, you keep it in front by doing something.
I like that. And
It's really good advice.
It feels good because it's not something huge, right? When we make goals that are very large, sometimes they're daunting, but if it's just that one little action, as you said, even just looking at the Zazzle homepage, you're already doing one step further to help your business improve, right?
Yeah, even if it's for a couple minutes and then you sort of bank it in your brain that, when I get back to working the next day, I'll remember that. Whereas, Yeah.
And we don't always have, 8, 10, 12 hours a day to put into something. But, if it's a day I can't, I at least like to do something.
Yeah, exactly.
Even if
Really,
it's
really
just a
great
goal.
tip.
And I want to ask a fun question now. Wendy actually came with us, before COVID, when we were doing our in-person retreats in Australia. And I want to ask Wendy, what was your favorite thing that we did when we were in our Australia retreat together? Like the most, I don't know, what was your best experience that we had together?
Oh my gosh, you're testing my memory, which is so bad. Activity-wise?
Doesn't matter, anything, yeah.
Oh, well, I gotta say the koala bears.
The koala
'cause
bears.
I'm such an animal person, and even though mine pooped on me,
Yeah,
it was still, that was a big thing for me because I had always wanted to go to Australia. So to combine it with, the business trip was just another dream.
yeah. No, it was wonderful. We went to, Wendy says the koala bears. So we went to this natural sanctuary where they had the koala bears and we all got to hold them. They were very interesting creatures.
I love being in the pen
Yeah,
first.
that was very cool.
Because we could just hang around with them for a bit and they moved around and then they kind of, just to be around them, not just do obviously the holding part, it was very, next in line, you get to hold them, let's take a picture, move on. But the part where we even just were in around them in the cage. There
yeah.
were what, like 15 or 20 of them? That was really
Not
interesting.
that many, but yeah. They were in individual cages, but we were in one with like about, I would say maybe 6 or so, or 5. Yeah, but yeah, either
I
way.
remember a lot of them.
There were a lot. There were a lot.
Maybe then I just was-
We get to go behind the scenes and actually
Yeah.
be in the pen with them.
Yeah, yeah,
In their natural habitat at the zoo. So
yeah.
That was very cool. Well, that was, yeah, no, it was a wonderful experience. And we hope that one day we get to meet you again in person. But yeah, that was right before COVID. Anybody listening, and you know that COVID happened March 2020-ish. We were there in February 2020.
Yeah. Basically came home in lockdown.
Yeah. So,
Well, I'm glad that was one of your favorite memories. Yeah, that's great. I'm so glad.
yeah. But yes, thank you so much, Wendy, for joining us on the podcast. And thanks for sharing your experience with us. And then also congratulations once again. We know that you don't like bragging, but those numbers are spectacular. And we just can't wait to be with you on your Zazzle journey going forward and seeing you progress and flourish and shine because you deserve it. And yeah, you're an inspiration to everyone who has had basically everything taken out from under them in terms of a financial path, right? That you thought that you were set up for the rest of your life and retirement, and to have that taken away from you without prior, like survival kit experience, like preparation. And so that you are now able to say that you own your own business and that you're proud of it is just a wonderful inspiration to all. So thank you so much for sharing your journey with us.
Thank you for inviting me. I'm very honored to be among those that have traveled with you, and I think you're stuck with me.
That's okay.
We don't love you.
I don't think you're stuck with us. That stuck is it's like a negative word. We accept.
You're stuck with me. I'm not stuck with you.
Oh, that's what's here. I flipped it. No, you're not. Yeah, we love having you, and we just love seeing you shine. And as I said before, it's just even to hear you say, I'm extremely proud of my own business. That didn't, you didn't feel that way.
To me.
Yeah, and it's really wonderful to see that you now feel extremely worthy of everything because you deserve it all.
Oh, thank you. And
No
thank
problem.
you for everything for the last 5 years.
No problem. We're here for the long run with
Yeah.
everyone, and we're so excited for what's to come for you
Yeah,
and for
Me
everyone
too.
else.
Here for the long run, and it's going to be amazing to see what happens.
Yes,
Yeah.
it does. It definitely is.
I love it.
So
Okay, thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you so much. And then thank you everyone who's listening to this podcast, and we'll see you in the next episode. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.